everyone and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time on my channel, my name is Angela and I am a 6th grade teacher in Southern California. October has been such a crazy month for me, and I think it has been for a lot of teachers out there. I think October is a tough month for a lot of teachers because I think it's 1 or 2 months of no breaks, but I know some schools get a fall break, but I don't know too much about that. I know for us, we don't have any days off in October, but in November and December, that's when we have our fall break as well as our winter break. So please like this video, it helps me out a lot. Leave a comment down below saying hello and subscribe for future videos. So pretty much what I'm going to do is show you a weekly overview. So I think the last video, I actually vlogged every single day. This week, I'm going to try doing a weekly review and just kind of talking about the most important, well, I guess every day is important, but I'm going to talk about the main things that I did this week that I want to share with you guys. So please let me know which style you like better. That just helps me out because I'm still navigating vlogging while teaching. So a little bit per day or kind of just a weekly overview like you'll see today. Okay, so here is the week spread out. Monday was just a normal day, new spelling, new grammar, new ELA notes. So yeah, Monday was just a normal day for us. Tuesday, I actually had my first formal observation by my principal, and I'll explain what I did and how I prepped for that. So Wednesday was a normal day for us. Thursday was Halloween. That's my attempt at a cat pumpkin. Thursday was Halloween, which was a little crazy. I'll explain some of the activities we did on Halloween. And Friday, which is today, the 1st, we had a collaboration day with our grade level team, which was super nice. We just spent the entire day planning and working on our IB units. So that was awesome, and I had a sub. So let's start with Tuesday, my formal observation, and talk about what we did. Our school just got these new sweaters. So I am wearing mine today. It has a little snow leopard on it. I love school spirit wear because I can wear something for every day of the week. The less outfits I need to prepare, the better. Starting from Tuesday, my observation, overall, it went really well. My students were really engaged. Everyone did exactly what they were supposed to do. Of course, there were things that I would change for next time or I can reflect on to be better. Based on getting to know my students, student survey, just having day-to-day conversations, I realized that a majority of my students are really into Naruto. And they wear the Naruto headbands and they come up to me and talk about it. They draw in their journal about Naruto. So I thought, perfect, why not have a math lesson and kind of make a theme around it, and I made it Naruto themed. For my lessons, or any formal observation, I love adding a piece of technology into it. It just adds a little, what do I call it? A little zhuzh or a little sparkle to your observation, and it really impresses your admin or whoever's observing you to show that you know how to work with technology and you know how to teach students how to use technology, because nowadays everything is digital, everything is technology related. So if you can include any technology piece in your formal observation, that'll be really impressive. Everything I'm about to show you, I got it from the teacher's edition of our math curriculum, which is Envision or Pearson. So we're on integers and rational numbers, and I don't know if it's going to show, but we were on 7-5, the one right here. So basically we were ordering and comparing rational numbers. The last topic, we did the same thing with number lines, so it wasn't brand new to them, but now it wants the students to use number sense and converting all of the numbers into common form. So if it's a fraction, turn it into a decimal and organize decimals, or they can turn it into fractions. I just think turning them all into decimals is a lot easier. Might just be me. So I have the lesson title, and this is copied exactly from the teacher's book, teacher guide. So in my lesson, I want to have a clear objective. So what is the goal that we want to meet today? What's our learning target? And if you look in the teacher guides, usually there is an objective or the standard that you want your students to meet. So for 7-5, here's the objective. It says students compare and order rational numbers. But because I'm doing a Naruto theme, I don't want to just say students will compare and order rational numbers. I just changed it so it matches the theme. So I say, Shinobi, you must be able to organize rational numbers in order to fulfill your missions quickly. So let's learn it today. So when I'm actually presenting the lesson, I'm saying, so when you go on your missions, you might encounter numbers that are in the negatives or in fraction form, and you must be able to convert them to common form and then order them to give me an accurate data report. So I try to make it more engaging that way and match the theme. And once you have your objective, say it at least a minimum of 3 times throughout the lesson. Your students are understanding what their objective or goal is, and your admin or your principal, whoever's watching, knows what today's learning target is. I have our vocab listed here, and if students needed a reminder on what rational numbers were or how to order them, they can click this link right here and it'll take them to Khan Academy, which will show them a video on ordering rational numbers. And I love Khan. A lot of their math is aligned with the SBAC or the math problems that they can encounter on the SBAC test. So it's really good to get your students on. It's free. There are videos, there are little quizzes, and there's also extension activities for your early finishers. So yeah, so they can watch a video if they just need a quick refresher on how to order rational numbers. So back to the HyperDoc. I like giving them steps, and usually there are 1, 2, 3 steps. Because we're kind of branching from what we did the day before, I just put convert rational numbers into common form, so turn the fractions into decimals. I usually start with a POD or problem of the day and something they can work on. Usually they do this all in their notebook, so a HyperDoc is a pretty new concept for them. So they would just type in here, convert these fractions into decimals. I love the POD because you can literally do whatever you want. You can do a problem from the last lesson, kind of a bridging question to get their feet wet for this lesson, or questions from the lesson you're going to do and see if your students are able to do it. So if you've never had a formal observation before, usually your district has a form your principal can fill out. Well, for the California one, it lists the California standards for the teaching profession, and you kind of box which one you want to be evaluated on. I actually did this one last year, so I chose this one instead. Engaging students in problem solving, critical thinking, and other activities that make subject matter meaningful. So your principal, when they're observing you, they're going to be looking for these specific things. So you kind of want to make sure you target those TEs, or not TEs, the standard that you need to meet. There was one that I focused on for behavior. For the second one right here, not this one, but for 2.4, I put establishing and maintaining standards for student behavior. So I really wanted to show my classroom management on the HyperDoc. And the way I did that was, when I teach my math lesson, I always do an input, guided practice, and then check for understanding, independent practice, and so on. But for the input, that's when I'm modeling. So I want my students, especially since we're on the Chromebook, to do a 45 angle. Keep your eyes on the Elmo and watch and listen carefully. And because I had it Naruto themed, I made it the Hokage show instead of the Miss Chung show, which I call it normally. I put Shinobi behavior expectation. Shinobi is just ninja in Japanese, and in Naruto they call them Shinobis, and then the leader of the village is the Hokage. So I called it the Hokage show. And here's a little blurb from the 5th Hokage. I know a Shinobi is ready for a mission when I see them try their best and ready to learn. Okay, so let's continue. So the Hokage show is just showing 2 problems, and I'm modeling how to navigate the HyperDoc, how to input the questions into the HyperDoc, and making sure they're doing their work on the side on a piece of paper, because they can't really show their work too much on the Google Doc. It's easier if they just do it on the side. So for one, I just had a basic order the rational numbers, and on the second one, I wanted it to be a little more interactive, a little more critical thinking involved, and in a word problem form. So I gave them a chart with the different characters in Naruto and their Chunin scores, which is the test that all Shinobi have to take. and their scores. So this wasn't given to them. So it looked like that. There we go. So they were given these and they had to answer a couple of these questions. They needed to change these into a decimal form. So when we did it together during my Hokage show, these are what we ended up with, and then we were able to say who received the highest, least, and then organize their scores from greatest to least. So after the input comes the guided practice, and because my teacher standard was maintaining student behavior, I also put their behavior expectations for the guided practice because they're actually going on the Chromebooks, and we have Go Guardian where we can see their screens, but you want to be walking around and monitoring the room and not just stuck behind your desk. You want to be able to help students walk around and show that you always move around your room and you don't stay in one specific spot. And it helps your students stay on task when they know you're monitoring. So our behavior expectations were to stay on the HyperDoc at all times, keep the format, use your math notebook to write notes or write out your work. And the problem I've had with HyperDocs in the past is that my early finishers will finish so quickly and they'll get tempted to go on different sites or have an extension and play games or just get off task. So I made sure to pack my guided practice with a lot of challenges or extensions. So my early finishers, they can work on those while my other students are finishing up. So I had the same number 1 where they ordered it from least to greatest, and I gave a little Hokage hint. So the ones that are filled in, it used to be blank, but I used this one when we're going over the questions, so that's why the answers are inputted in. So these are the same as the input, and these are the challenges that not all of my students got to, but the ones that finished early, they were working on this section. So we have a challenge question here and a create your own word problem and solve. I think my early finishers just ended up on this one, but if I really needed more time, I would probably say find a partner and share your word problem and have them solve it and see if they got it right, but we didn't get to that. So after the guided practice, we did a check for understanding, which was their digital quick checks, just like 5 questions on Pearson, it's online, and return to the HyperDoc when it's completed. The independent practice was really fun. It was just another way for me to gauge their learning. We filled out, so this was kind of their mission board. Let me show it to you. Okay, so the independent practice was my favorite part. So instead of saying, let me see, okay. So instead of just giving them problems from the book and saying, here, do those independent practice problems, I wanted to spice them up and keep with their theme. I had them pick a mission team and they filled out this mission board. In the HyperDoc, I gave them 6 ninjas to choose from, and these are all from the show, and I gave them different stats. So they had their attack stat and their Chunin score, which is, in the show, they have their Chunin exam and then they get a score. I tried to make some negative, I tried to make some in a fraction form. You can just pull the numbers from your teacher guide. So students would choose 3, which gives them choice. So they would put the names of the ninjas that they chose, their attack stat, and their Chunin score, and I gave them a little space for them to work out the problem and make them all common form. And they would answer these questions below. And this would be their exit ticket out to lunch. And it's another form of assessment that I can use to measure their understanding of the lesson. So I have their digital quick check, and I also have this mission board. Another tip I have for observations is to have a good number of assessment tools or formative assessment, just so you have data to see if your students are meeting the standard or if you need to reteach. All right, so my students actually took up till recess to finish these. Of course, you have students that finish quickly because they are just on it. So you have to be ready for that because you don't want them to just sit around and say, I'm bored, what do we do? You want to have an extension ready for them. So the extension I have is mission board complete, awesome. I told them you're ready to lead your own mission. So they are going to create a team of 3 shinobi other than the ones listed above. So they need to research, they need to find pictures, and they need to create their own stats, just as I did above. So they're just choosing 3. And then I have similar questions, organizing their attack from least to greatest and organizing all the numbers. And I think maybe 3 students got to the extension, but a majority of my students were just able to finish their mission board. And if they didn't finish, they just did it for homework. So not a lot of students got to the extension, but at least I had it, and my principal was able to see that I did have something extra just for the students that finished early. Yeah, so that was pretty much my observation. So overall, the lesson went really well. So thank goodness. The thing that really helped out was the week before, I actually made another hyperdoc, which was Minecraft theme, and I had them navigate it, and I also set the expectations and everything. So it was kind of a practice run before the actual one. So that's what I would recommend if you're trying something new, like I did with a digital form of a lesson. At least the day before or the week before, try it out just so you can get any kinks out of the way. Especially with technology, you never know what's gonna happen. Funny story, on Tuesday, the day of my observation, I was getting the Elmo ready, or the projector, and all of a sudden it said my Chromecast, there was no Wi-Fi, or my Chromecast wasn't working. So out of the entire school year, my Wi-Fi and Chromecast has always worked, and I was able to cast my screen up there. But for the first time, of course it had to be that day, it didn't work. So thankfully I had a cord like this as my backup. It's not as clear as the Chromecast, but at least I had something. And if I didn't have any technology, then at least the students had their Chromebooks. Worst case scenario, we could have just done the same lesson, but just on our math notebooks. So have a contingency, especially if you're using technology, just in case if it doesn't work, because it will probably not work on the day you have your observation, which always happens. I don't know why. So I'm actually a huge fan of Naruto, so it was really easy getting into character and making this hyperdoc. I actually brought my headband and I picked the kids up from recess in this, and they were all like, "What?" But yeah, so we were super in character and they loved it. All right, so I think that was Tuesday. Okay, so formal observation, check. Wednesday was a pretty normal day for us. Thursday was Halloween. And if you've ever taught on Halloween, the kids are crazy. Even your sweetest kid will go crazy. I don't think my class was that bad, but there were a couple characters that came out. They were ready for Halloween. So for Tuesday's observation, I gave my students an incentive. So if you guys do an awesome job for that observation, then on Thursday, which is that Thursday? Yeah. On Thursday, we can watch a movie, kind of like a fall party in a sense. So I think that helped. So if you need to bribe your students with even like 5 minutes of extra recess, I would do it. Why not? Something we can work towards. So on Halloween, I showed them Nightmare Before Christmas for our fall party. And one of my students' parents are so amazing. They are always on top of it, willing to volunteer and do super cute crafts like this. And she said, "Hey, is it okay if I come do a craft with your class?" And I said, "Yes, please." So while we were watching Nightmare Before Christmas, my parent volunteers were pulling groups of students to make this little Jack Skellington this little cute Jack Skellington thing. And one of my students gave me hers because I didn't have a chance to make one. And I said, if you don't want to make one, you can just continue watching the movie, or you can make one if you want to. So that's what they did. They really liked it. We had a Halloween parade in the morning where they showed off their costumes, and any students that didn't want to participate in the Halloween parade, they can go into the library, and our librarian had some awesome fall themed activities for them. So I think that was it. What else did we do? I think that was it for Halloween. I passed out little candy bags, but I totally forgot to take a picture of all of them. I have this little video clip of me making them, but that's all I have. So I passed those out, and some other students brought little snacks to pass around. So long ago, our principal asked when we wanted to do our collaborative planning day, and we chose the day after Halloween, which I think was a great idea. Halloween and the day after Halloween is just a crazy couple of days. And I also had a sub today, and you can tell I had a sub because look at that handwriting. It is so much cuter than mine and so much neater. So you can see mine and hers. My kids were probably like, can you write the schedule every day? So they had all of their tests for Friday morning, and I think I said in my last video, but all of my tests or paper tests I put in these little pockets. So that way when I pick them all up, they're all in alphabetical order and ready to go. After recess, I had my students do a Halloween teacher activity, and that actually took a majority of them to lunch, but if they were done early, they can type out their narrative for me to edit. I got this from Fancy Nancy in 5th. She's amazing. And I needed a last minute Halloween activity, and I wanted to do it yesterday, but we ran out of time. But pretty much, since we're working on integers, I wanted them to help me decide on a Halloween costume and create a word problem that matches. So they did such a good job. I didn't get to see them create it, but I just came after the meeting and saw all of these. So I'll just show you a couple. I think I'm a Minecraft character here. Naruto character. Ooh, how did they put the headband on me? Super cute. I'm rich. I'm very rich in chungbucks. I actually am very rich in chungbucks. I'm a cute bunny. This is so cute. Hello. Yeah, so these are awesome, and I got them from Fancy Nancy in 5th, and she has 4 different templates, so perfect for a last minute activity. They did this with the sub, and let's keep on going. Narrative, type up, lunch, and since yes, usually we have PE on Thursdays, but because of our Halloween parade in the morning, we just rescheduled it to today at the end. So again, with the stations, and I think this was journal writing, but it got erased. So let's see who won for table points this week. We have, ooh, 3 and oh, awesome, table 3. So usually I just erase, nothing too crazy. And then table 3 would be table of the week. So my goal next week is to start getting student work up on the walls because I've been so busy, or I just want to go home at the end of the day. I just haven't had a chance to put things up. But I need to put writing there, and maybe the Halloween activity I can put on one of these white panels. And that reminds me, I need to respond to journals and give these back on next week. Collect these, and I'll be ready to go home. All right, everyone, I have my journals that I need to respond to, and I collected all of my tests. So I'm gonna respond to these journals, drop them off, and head home for the day. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked this style of a weekly reflection, please let me know, or if you liked kind of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday vlogs, please let me know. It definitely helps me out. Also, follow my Instagram at @thepurrfectpencil so you don't miss when I post a new video, and you can have updates on day-to-day things that I do in the classroom. So like this video, comment down below if you have any tips for formal observations that can help another teacher out, and subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos. So I'll see you guys next time.